There comes a moment on the path when everything that once pushed you forward disappears. No fire, no hunger, no urgency, just silence. You wake up one morning and feel nothing. No motivation to chase goals, no desire to strive or prove anything. And for a while, that feels terrifying, like something inside you died. But here's the truth. Something did die. The ego's engine, the one powered by fear, by comparison, by scarcity, stopped running. Before awakening, most of your drive came from the noise in your head. You wanted success, recognition, security. Now that you see through it, what's left to move you? In this video, I will show you why this collapse of motivation is not a failure, it is a necessary transformation. You will learn how Shaolin teachings approach this moment of emptiness with calm and clarity, why detachment is not depression, and why feeling lost is not the same as being lost. I will walk you through the hidden phase after spiritual awakening, the one no one talks about, the void between who you were and who you are becoming. Most people give up here. They think the path has ended. But this is where the real training begins. Stay with me until the end of this video. You'll learn how to move without forcing, how to act without needing external fire, and how to find a deeper rhythm than motivation, one that does not burn out. This is not theory, this is lived wisdom, straight from the Shaolin path, direct, honest, unfiltered. You are watching Shaolin Soulfire. If this speaks to something in you, subscribe now. We walk this path together. The moment you awaken, you expect clarity, you expect peace, but what often comes first is confusion. Spiritual awakening is not the final scene in a film. It's not the heroic rise of a perfected self. It's more like pulling a thread loose and watching everything you thought you were begin to unravel. Old patterns, old desires, even your sense of time and purpose, they begin to dissolve. And as they fall away, what's left is space, stillness. For many, that stillness feels like emptiness, and that emptiness feels like something is wrong. But this is only because the mind has been trained to follow noise. It's used to chasing goals, reacting to problems, solving what it thinks is broken. That constant movement gave it a sense of identity. Now that the noise is gone, the mind doesn't know what to do. It panics. It tells you you're lost. It whispers something is missing, but nothing is missing. What's really happening is this. The old engine has stopped, the one that ran on pressure, ambition and fear. In the Shaolin path, we say, when the water stills, the reflection becomes clear. But before it stills, it stirs. All the dirt rises first. All the emotions you avoided. All the beliefs you borrowed. Awakening stirs the waters, not to create chaos, but to show you what's been hiding beneath the surface. So in this stage, don't rush to fill the silence. Don't try to rebuild what was lost. Let the unraveling continue. Let the ego fall. This is not a step backward. This is the mind detoxing from the illusion that it ever knew who you were. Only in this space of not knowing can something real begin to grow. The beginner waits for the right mood. The trained one moves, regardless. There's a simple truth many overlook. Motivation is unreliable. It rises when life feels exciting, and it vanishes when the path grows quiet. If your practice, your purpose, your self-mastery depends on motivation, you'll always be starting and stopping, always searching for the next spark to reignite your fire. But discipline is different. It doesn't ask how you feel. It doesn't wait for the wind to blow in your favor. Discipline is rhythm. It is choice made visible. It is the structure you return to when your thoughts are restless, your energy is low, or your direction feels uncertain. Motivation is like a wave. It crushes high, then fades. But discipline is the riverbed. It holds the current. It gives the water shape. You don't need to be inspired every morning. You just need to stand up, breathe and begin, again and again, until the act becomes its own form of stillness. In ancient traditions, this was never called punishment or restriction. It was a form of devotion, a sacred agreement between the body and the mind. You train not because it feels good, but because it frees you. You sit in silence not because you want to, but because the silence is where the real teaching begins. Many people wait for clarity before they act, but those who walk the deeper path know clarity comes through action, especially when you don't feel like it, especially when it's cold or dark or quiet inside. That's the moment to move. Because inner mastery isn't forged in comfort. It's built in repetition, in presence, in the small, invisible moments where no one is watching and you still choose to continue. There's a misunderstanding. Many carry this idea that awakening should feel like endless light, like joy that never fades. But growth in truth is far more subtle. It doesn't explode, it dissolves. After awakening, you may expect bliss. Instead, what comes is silence. A stillness so deep it can feel empty. This is where many people start to worry. The highs are gone. The clarity seems distant. In motivation, it fades like mist in the morning sun. But this is not failure. This is not a sign that you've lost your way. It is the body and mind catching up with the truth the spirit has already touched. Integration is not exciting. It's slow, like a snake shedding its skin. Not all at once, but gradually with effort and stillness. In these moments, numbness can arise, not because you've regressed, but because your old systems of movement, urgency, tension, performance have collapsed. The identity that once pushed you is no longer in control. What you're feeling isn't absence, it's space. In ancient practice, this space is sacred. It is the cocoon between who you were and who you're becoming. No butterfly forms without stillness. No transformation happens without disorientation. You don't need to chase the light. You need to learn how to sit in the dark without flinching. Let the numbness be part of the process. Let the quiet teach you a new rhythm, one that doesn't depend on highs or motivation or even understanding. Growth is not loud. It is not dramatic. It is the steady dissolving of the false, layer by layer. When you stop mistaking peace for boredom, you'll begin to see the beauty in this phase. You are not stuck. You are being remade, slowly, quietly, from the inside out. There's a heaviness that settles in after deep transformation, not because you've done something wrong, but because something old is leaving you. You may think you've become lazy, unmotivated, undisciplined, but look closer. What's really happening is grief, quiet, invisible grief for the identity you once carried with pride. The one who always pushed, the one who performed, the one who fought to stay ahead. That self was strong in its own way. It helped you survive. It gave you goals to chase and reasons to wake up. But now something inside you knows it's time to lay that self to rest. And that's not easy. The achiever was familiar. The fighter gave you edge. The performer brought praise. Without them, there's a silence. A space where the old fire used to burn. It feels strange, even wrong. But this is how all real change begins. In ancient teachings, this stage was never skipped. It was honored. The warrior doesn't only train for battle, he also learns how to put the sword down, how to sit with himself, how to feel the weight of what he's shed. You are not lazy, you are transitioning. The old way of moving through force, through proving, is falling away. What replaces it is quieter, softer. It listens before it acts. It moves from alignment, not adrenaline. At first this feels like doing nothing, but that's only because the mind has been conditioned to equate worth with effort. Now you're learning a different rhythm, one that honors stillness, one that values depth over speed. Let the old self go gently. Don't rush to fill the gap. In time, a new way will rise. One rooted not in striving, but in truth. One that doesn't burn you out because it's not based on who you were trying to be. It's based on who you actually are. There is a way of moving that doesn't strain, a way of acting that doesn't push. The Taoists called it Wu Wei, action through non-force. This doesn't mean inaction. It doesn't mean drifting without direction. It means aligning so fully with the natural rhythm of things that effort becomes unnecessary. The river doesn't try to flow, it just does. The tree doesn't try to grow, it simply follows the way. After spiritual awakening, your system begins to reject anything that feels forced. The strategies you once used, self-pressure, guilt, urgency, stop working. Your body tightens when you try to return to them. Your mind resists. It's not laziness, it's inner intelligence. You've outgrown tension as a source of movement. Now only alignment works. Flow becomes your guide. And flow cannot be faked. It arises when action is clear, clean, rooted in presence. It comes when your doing matches your being. This shift can feel strange at first, especially if you're used to controlling everything. But mastery doesn't come from domination. It comes from listening, closely, honestly, and acting only when the action is true. In the old part, the mind shouted and the body obeyed. In the new part, you listen deeper than taught. You feel what's ready to move. You act not from fear of falling behind, but from the quiet knowing that this is the moment to act. Ancient masters trained this way, not just in meditation halls, but in every breath, every movement. They didn't need to be motivated. They had rhythm, they had presence, and presence doesn't push, it participates. When the fire of motivation fades, don't panic. The wind has changed. Now you move like water, without force, without noise, without struggle, and somehow everything still gets done. Stillness is often mistaken for weakness, inaction, hesitation. But on the inner path, stillness is none of these things. It is a gathering of strength, a return to center. In Shaolin tradition, stillness is a form of training, not the absence of movement, but the refinement of it. Like an archer drawing the bowstring, no arrow is released, but the energy is already in motion. The body may appear calm, but within a precise alignment is taking place. After spiritual awakening, you may find yourself in this state. No drive, no urgency, just quiet. The world may call this unproductive, but in truth, this is recalibration. Your system is adjusting. Your senses are learning to pick up on deeper cues, subtler rhythms. This phase is not a mistake. It is where clarity sharpens. The silent warrior is not asleep. He is observing, feeling, letting distractions fall away so that only what truly matters remains. This kind of stillness is a test, not of your will to act, but your willingness to wait without rushing. Ancient discipline taught this as a vital skill, to pause not from fear, but from wisdom. To stop not because you've lost direction, but because you finally stopped chasing the wrong one. Stillness is fertile. What seems empty is rich with preparation. Muscles recover, breath deepens, the mind grows spacious. When the time comes, movement returns, but now it comes from truth, not tension. Do not fear the silence that follows awakening. It is not the end of the path. It is the space before the next step appears. You are not doing nothing. You are becoming precise, quiet, focused, and that too is part of the training. In the world outside, movement is glorified, speed is rewarded, noise is mistaken for progress. Every hour must be filled, every task completed, every goal pursued without pause. You are taught that to be valuable, you must always be doing. But when awakening begins, that outer compass starts to lose its pull. The drive to stay busy fades, not because you no longer care, but because something deeper begins to stir. A question arises, not what more can I do, but what actually matters. This shift is subtle but powerful. It changes everything. You no longer want to waste energy on what doesn't align. You don't crave praise for activity. You want depth, meaning, a rhythm that feels real, not rehearsed. And in that gap between the old impulse to act and the new desire to move with purpose, there is a stillness that can feel like apathy. But it isn't. It's your inner compass resetting. The wisdom beneath the noise finally getting a chance to speak. Ancient paths always pointed inward first. The masters weren't measured by how much they did, but by how consciously they moved. Each step was chosen, not rushed. Each word carried weight. There was no hurry, only alignment. So if you find yourself pausing, doubting, questioning what's worth your time, don't resist it. This isn't a loss of motivation. It's the birth of discernment. It means you're no longer willing to trade your life for tasks that don't feed your spirit. Let the world chase. You are learning to choose, and in that choosing, you return to the essence of mastery. Not to be more efficient, but to be more true. Not to do more, but to do what is needed, with presence and peace. The world teaches you to chase feelings, excitement, inspiration, confidence. You wait for the right mood before you begin. But feelings are fleeting. They rise and fall with weather, sleep, hormones, memories. If your path depends on them, your steps will always be uneven. The awakened path is quieter. It doesn't ask how you feel. It asks what you choose. Not once in a moment of clarity, but every day in the silence between thoughts. This is the way of the monk. The blade is not sharpened in a single stroke. It is honed patiently, with steady hands and full attention. No rushing, no skipping steps, just presence, just rhythm. You wake up, you breathe, you move, not because you're in the mood, but because it's time. You return to the form, the posture, the breath, over and over, until the act becomes its own source of stillness. This is discipline, but not the harsh kind. It's devotion, not to a result, but to the path itself. Each action becomes a prayer, each repetition a carving of truth into your bones. Motivation fades because it's not meant to last, but presence deepens. The more you show up without needing to feel a certain way, the more solid your foundation becomes. You stop chasing the spark, you become the fire, steady, quiet, focused. In the old ways, mastery was never measured by how intensely you felt, but by how consistently you returned. No matter the weather inside you, no matter the noise outside. So choose your actions like the monk sharpens his blade. With care, with patience, with trust in the process. Let presence be your fuel. Let the act itself become enough. So this is the shift away from chasing highs, away from forcing motion, and into something steadier, more honest. You don't need to wait for a spark to move, you just need to return to the present again and again with awareness and care. Stillness isn't the absence of life, it's the root of it. When you breathe with intention, observe without judgment, and act without rush, you become aligned, not driven by noise, but guided by clarity. This is what the Shaolin path reveals. Not a life without challenges, but a mind that meets them with calm. Not a heart that never falters, but one that knows how to return to center. So if you feel unmotivated, let that be a call inward. Reclaim your rhythm, rebuild your steps from silence. That's where real strength is born. Thank you for walking this path with us today. If this message spoke to something within you, honor it, carry it into your day. And if you'd like to go deeper, like this video and subscribe to our channel, Shaolin Soulfire. Until next time, move gently, breathe fully, and walk with presence.